Welcome to Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. The primary focus of Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond is teaching people to use their natural abilities in quantum healing. This is an opportunity to enter the quantum realm and develop your metaphysical gifts, expand your energy to improve your life, your community, the planet, and beyond. In addition to quantum healing, Todd will cover many fun topics such as Bigfoot, UFOs, near-death experiences, ghosts, shadow people, and many others. Todd has a lifelong fascination with alternative healing, consciousness, expansion, and the human potential. Now, your host, Todd Wilcox.
Welcome, everybody. It's going to be another fun couple hours. You probably noticed that my face is very well lit on one side, not so much on the other. Apparently, my quantum outfield machine that I'm in right now is flying us too close to the sun on one side. So hopefully we'll just get used to it. I'm sure you already are, but I'm a little weird, so it'll go a little bit longer for me. I have a special guest today. It's not just me. You get to hear one of the best voices on radio. Her name's Rachel Knight. She's been around for a long time, relatively speaking. She's very young, but she's been around a long time, and has done quite a few things. She's been on my other show several times, and it's always fun. We're going to be talking about music and movies today, two of her favorite things, as well as Slipstream Shaman stuff. We're going to do a holiday Poly-Medela and help people just relax and enjoy the holidays and have a good time with that. And I love what you put up there, Todd. Rachel Knight and Poly-Medela. Oh my, that's a great name for this show. Oh my. We might have to just change this to oh my. So thank you. You really do a good job getting things set up. And so without further ado, we'll talk a little bit about what today's show's about. So I absolutely love going to the movies. I love when a soundtrack to the movie makes sense, when it really adds something to it. Sometimes the music just doesn't add anything, but sometimes it really makes a movie. It makes a great scene. I've watched as they'll play a scene without any background music and the feeling that you get, and then play it again with music and see how you feel. And I hope I'm not stealing any of Rachel's thunder right now as I'm yammering on about that, but it just makes such a gigantic difference when you get the right music in a movie. And so we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to do a Poly-Medela. What we'll probably do is talk to Rachel Knight for a little while, then we'll do the Poly-Medela, and then we'll talk to Rachel some more. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Rachel Knight to all of you, and she's going to be talking about music and movies. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, good morning, Todd. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. So there's nobody really that I know that's even close that knows music the way you do, the way you study it, the way you love it, the how important music is in your life. And you're one of the top people I know that loves movies. So what a perfect pairing for this today. And you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what your thoughts are for today and how you see us going with this?
Well, you know, you and I spent a lot of time talking about our childhood loves of monster movies, small monsters, big monsters, and then all those sci-fi and different horror movies. And so I thought we would talk about music in monster, sci-fi, and horror movies, and some of my favorite soundtracks from those that movie genre. Of course, you know, you and I are about the same age, high school graduation wise, and so I really needed to tip my hat to the monster, of course, Godzilla.
Yes.
And of course, what better song than Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult? You know, so that was written back in 1977. It didn't make it to a movie soundtrack until 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters. And you know, that soundtrack was remastered by Bear McCreary. And Bear McCreary as you may know, he did this music for like the new Battlestar Galactica, Walking Dead, Outlander, and we need an entire radio show about Outlander and how skeevy I find it.
Yes, we need a really comfortable seat.
Yeah, so we're gonna get some hate mail about that Rachel Knight hates Outlander, but I think it's so grody, and I'll just let you give them my email address, and I can field all the hate mail from the ladies who like their softcore porn. But I think that show's disgusting. So you can just direct your hate to me. It's fine. It's not Todd's fault. I don't even know. Have you ever watched Outlander?
I think I watched one episode, the first season it was on, and haven't been back. Not because I hated it, but just because I don't know. There's probably been other things on that I was more interested in.
That were less skeevy.
Less skeevy, sure.
It's really gross. I don't get it. Anyway, but speaking of Bear McCreary, I digressed. I googled a picture of him because I didn't know what he looked like, and it's really funny. He looks kind of like Frank Zappa and Alanis Morissette had a baby.
Oh,
and
a couple of great choices.
Yeah, great choices. And it was really fun. We might need to have a whole Frank Zappa show because Frank Zappa fathered some really great musical geniuses, and I didn't even know about these until I was looking through some of the stuff. So really cool stuff. I don't need to digress about this. So of course, Blue Oyster Cult, and I think we can maybe use my little speaker here. We're pretty fancy in the QO.
Yeah, we're super set up.
Of course, right?
Yeah. This is when you reach forward and turn it up when you're in the car.
You turn it to 11, like Spinal Tap.
Turn it to 11, yes.
Here, we'll let him get a few words out. Listen to the guitar like, where he pulls on the high tension wire.
Yes.
What does he do, Todd?
He looks in on them.
What does he do next?
He goes.
He picks up
the bus and
he throws it back down. That's right. He waves to the village. Oh, Buck Dharma, he's a genius. Do you have some sort of Weird Al words to this?
Here's the thing.
Can you say it on the radio?
As soon as the music stops, I'll tell the audience a little bit about my appreciation of it.
Okay, do tell.
So with me, I truly don't know the actual words to 3 songs. Maybe Happy Birthday, and I'm not sure where to go after that. I just don't know the words. I don't pay attention, but I can be hearing a song for the very first time and be able to change the words to something that I think is hilarious that many people find disgusting or disturbing. But I really don't know what the words are. And when she said, what does he do next, Todd? I really have to think because I just don't know. I do love music, but I don't pay enough attention to what's being said for the most part. And I couldn't tell you what most songs are about. I'm really surprised, and I'll ask people, so is this a happy song or a sad song? I'm really always surprised with the answers.
What is this song about?
What is this song about? I just never know. So, if you guys saw me struggling when I was trying to figure out if he was going to pick it up and throw it back down, that's because I was. And I just don't know the words to many songs. I do love listening to music, but for some reason the words just don't stick. It's more about the music, maybe. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts, Rachel?
Well, I just think you're a special guy who doesn't know the words to songs. But I've heard you come up. I've heard you riff on some songs, ruin some songs for me. Thank you. Some songs that are really dear to my. In fact, there are some songs that I just won't even play around you because you're going to ruin it for me forever by changing a word to something. And not that I find you gross, but I sometimes you really hurt my feelings when you ruin my songs.
So for people that really love the songs and listen to them and have that meaning, which is what this show's about, I am not a great person to have around, and I apologize for that. And even in grade school, I had a book of what would now be called Weird Al songs, but I had a book of songs that I rewrote the words to, jingles from TV that I rewrote the words to, and it was one of the many ways I got in trouble when I was in grade school. But I absolutely love changing the words. I wish I would have had a little bit more knowledge of how to do things, and I might have beat Weird Al to being Weird Al.
No doubt. You're I'm sorry. I've known you for a long time, and you are quick. You're very quick-witted and very, very funny. Your stuff is hilarious. I think you're funnier than Weird Al. No offense, Weird Al.
I appreciate that. We have a listener. Teresa's on here from Facebook. Thank you for joining us, Teresa.
Hey, Teresa. So let's go back to Godzilla, because in 2019, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I loved. Did you like that movie?
I loved it.
Loved it. So they, the soundtrack was remastered by Bear McCreary, as we were talking about, and they redid the song with Serge Tankian from System of a Down. Now, I know that not everybody's a fan of his voice because it is a little screechy, but they do this really cool Japanese chanting at the beginning, and it's just a whole different vibe. I'm going to play it for you right now. And this is the Godzilla song that actually made it to a soundtrack. So here we go. Is that coming through?
I love the start of this. I love it right up to the time he starts singing.
Yeah, I know you think he's a little whiny, don't you?
A little bit, yeah. He pulls the spinning high tension wires down. Helpless people on subway trains scream by God.
What's he do, Todd?
He picks the bus up and he throws it back down.
There you go.
Really hard. Oh no!
Oh no! Listen to this.
I love everything about the lead singer except for the lead singer.
The chanting's cool. You got it.
The chanting's amazing. The music's amazing. But I find his voice as awkward as the scene where they were looking out the window and Godzilla walks by and has this giant cankle that goes from his knee to his ankle. I don't know if they had a grade school do that special effect or what happened there, but other than that, I truly enjoyed the movie, and I love the music right up until the second he starts to sing. I
liked it, and I do not mind that that version of the sound of the song, just mostly because of the chanting. It's pretty cool.
Why do you think the Godzilla, the original Blue Oyster Cult Godzilla, doesn't get much airplay? I find it to be my absolute favorite of Blue Oyster Cult, and I know I'm probably much in the minority, but why do you think it gets so little airtime?
It's probably just because it's like it's a boy song. You know, it's not a. I think romantic girls drive a lot of what gets popular on the radio, love songs, and I think that seems to be a bigger deal.
Makes sense.
It's just a boy song.
A boy song,
and I like boy songs, so you know, I'm definitely a girl, but I've got a lot of dude in me, so it's I like that as far as especially with music where music goes. I did want to mention, so we were talking about the monster movies, and that so Godzilla is my favorite monster movie song. But then we had an honorable mention. You and I were talking about that old Gamera movie.
Yes.
And it was it shot in the 50s or 60s? Maybe the 60s, huh?
Either late 50s, early 60s. I can't remember for sure.
But remember all those Japanese, those like hipster Japanese teenagers?
Yes.
And of course, the dubbing is terrible. I have no idea what they really said in Japanese, but they said, "We're teenagers. We just want to dance." And I tried everything to find that song and that clip, but I couldn't find it anywhere. But do you remember that?
That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. And when she's talking about the hipsters, they've got the tight jackets and the really thin ties, and they've got their hair combed back like Elvis.
Yeah.
And just having fun. They were dancing, and Gamera's walking through town, smashing everything, and they won't leave because they would rather dance.
Yeah.
We're teenagers. We want to have fun. We're gonna dance. I love watching that. I did watch several times Gojira, the original Godzilla that they played in Japan before the U.S. added Raymond Burr to Godzilla and called it Godzilla. And just it feels like a much darker, much just darker movie, but very enjoyable. The mood is different. The scenes with Raymond Burr are so much brighter than the rest of the movie, and I never noticed it as a kid, and didn't really notice it until I watched the original. But I really enjoyed watching Gojira and watch it from time to time. I'm a huge fan of monster movies, whether they're giant or small.
Yeah, that was a Saturday morning activity for me. After Bugs Bunny Roadrunner hour ended, it was like time for monster movies, and that was always my favorite. I remember being a really little girl sitting on my dad's lap and watching that giant spider. Well, I don't remember what that movie was, but a giant spider comes cruising through town and wipes out a bowling alley.
Tarantula.
Oh man.
Yeah. One of the cool things about that movie is Clint Eastwood. It was one of his first appearances, and I don't even know if his name is brought up in the credits, but he's flying a jet in to try to kill the tarantula. He's one of the pilots flying in to fight that thing. Yeah, great movie.
Are you feeling lucky, Spider?
Yeah. Make my day,
make
Spider.
My day. Go ahead, make my day. So my another sci-fi movie. There's a sci-fi movie that has a really great soundtrack, and it's from 1994. And this is total. I mean, like quoting 60s monster movies hasn't dated me, but this is even worse. 1994, lots of great 90s music in the Crow soundtrack.
Oh yes.
And oh man, I loved so much of the 90s music, but this has Stone Temple Pilots, Nine Inch Nails, Rage Against the Machine, the Rollins Band. I don't know if you remember. So it used to be Black Flag. You heard of them? Love them. But the Black Flag's frontman, Henry Rollins,
Yes.
just totally, just a crazy good musician. He does Ghost Rider in it. There's a whole bunch of other really great soundtracks in there by Pantera, Thrill Kill Cult, Jesus and Mary Chain. The worst thing on the soundtrack is this really stinko of a pukey love ballad by this, at the very end, this Canadian singer-songwriter named Jane Siberry. It just about kills it for me, but I've learned to be a little quicker with the stop button, and that helps a lot. And so go ahead and direct your hate mail. You Outlander girls. Outlander girls will probably like this song a lot, but it's really terrible. I was going to play. Oh, one of the cool things on here is I discovered a couple of really great Halloween songs for my Halloween playlist. I have a Halloween party every year, and I play a lot of Halloween music, and this is so much better than the standard Monster Mash and Spooky Little Girl Like You. I was going to play it. Oh, I'm sorry.
As you're looking for that, I want everybody to look at YouTube and search Monster Mash. And especially if you get it with I can't think of the singer's name. He's on like the Ed Sullivan Show or one of those. And he is just making faces at the camera the entire time he's singing this song. And I didn't know whether to laugh or cry or turn it off. It was awesome. So if you get a chance, watch that. It's great.
Oh, and you know what? The reason I can't find it is because it's later. We were going to talk about a different movie that had all those Halloween songs in it. But here's a really good one from here. I was talking about Henry Rollins from Black Flag. He does this song called Ghost Rider on here. It's kind of cool. I don't know what he's saying. Is that cool? Build up. Sounds a little Jim Morrison-y.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, if you want to catch the mood of the Crow, this what you just played really catches it. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen The Crow, that gives you an idea of what the movie feels like and looks like. And I think some of Henry Rollins' best work, though, was when he drove the SUV on Jackass. I can't remember which number it was when Steve-O was getting a tattoo in the back and driving it over rocks and jumps.
I did see that episode.
I think that
yes,
was his best work.
I did see that. I disagree that it was his best work, but we'll call it part of his work.
I think he had the most fun. If it wasn't his best, it was certainly his most enjoyable work that he's ever done.
Okay. I do have an honorable mention in the sci-fi section. One of my favorite songs ever was a song by this little band called Blur.
Oh, I think I know where we're going.
And it's called Song 2. Most
Yes.
people say it's Woohoo is the name of the song.
Yes.
Huge confession. I went to see Starship Troopers because this song was in a TV spot advertising this movie.
Yes.
I'd never heard it before, and it blew me away. And this was before Shazam, I think. So I had to I think I might have had to scrabble over to Tower Records and ask my favorite record guy, or maybe Music Millennium in Portland, and say, who sings this song? It was driving me crazy. But it turns out it was this little song Song 2 by Blur. I'd never heard it before. And I went to see, opening day, I went to see Starship Troopers because of this song.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I have a prediction. You were the only female in the audience.
Yeah. I was. It was like a Saturday matinee time. I like matinees. I usually go to the movies by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had the same experience.
Yeah, I was the only.
It was a bunch of fellers.
It was a bunch of fellers and young fellers, and they probably all thought, well, whose mom is here? Who brought their mom? But I look like a mom, but I think like a a teenage boy when it comes to movies. So anyway, I'm gonna play this for you. I know it's one of Todd's favorite songs. It's definitely one of mine.
Yes.
Oh, but we should add, it's not in the movie.
Not in the movie.
No.
But one of the best commercials, and I'm thinking you can probably look it up on YouTube, but what a great commercial for that movie. And I also want to say I hate Titanic because it ruined the box office for Starship Troopers. And there was never a real Starship Troopers 2. There was a couple things they made that were kind of like it. They were just awful, but there was no budget to them. And Titanic came out the week after Starship Troopers, and like nobody saw anything but Titanic for the next 6 months.
Yeah, there are a lot more reasons to hate Titanic. And ladies, you can just write to me about that too. I hated Titanic. Good Lord. Okay, here we go. Ready? Song 2 by Blur. There's not enough room in here for me to dance, but I love this song.
You just don't know what's about to hit you.
By a jumbo jet.
A jumbo jet.
It wasn't easy, but not paid it.
We see one more woohoo and I'll shut off.
Yeah, you talked about boy songs earlier. If there ever was a boy song, that was it. And for the commercial, they showed the Starship Troopers jumping out of things, flying through the air,
shooting bugs.
It was amazing. Getting goosebumps thinking about it. Great commercial. And then you go there, and it's not even part of the soundtrack.
Not even part of the soundtrack.
So frustrating. There was another movie. I can't remember if it was Robin Hood or the joke movie that they made about Robin Hood, where there was an
Men in
arrow.
Tights.
Men in Tights, yes. And there was an arrow shot, and you were flying through the woods with the arrow's perspective, and that wasn't in the movie either. That was just part of the commercial for the movie.
I want to say that was Men in Tights. Yeah. Yeah, totally. That song totally tricked me into the theater opening day because I was just thinking, oh my gosh, it'll be so fun to have that song blasting through theater in Dolby. Nope.
Yep.
It wasn't to be. It was still a pretty fun movie though.
Fun movie.
Not as good as the book.
Correct. And not even like the book, really.
No.
Other than they fought bugs in the book. Really, if anybody that read the book was probably quite disappointed. And that's a whole nother show. Why you would pay money to make a script based on a book that people love and then make it not like the book. I don't get that.
Do you think it was too hard to adapt? Was it too complicated maybe for a filmmaker to envision, or?
I don't know. I think it's, and this is just opinion, but I think it's ego. They think they're making it better. That they're trying to make it better. Now there are some that are hard to adapt, and Jaws falls into a monster movie.
One of my favorite summer movies.
And Peter Benchley?
Peter Benchley, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was originally going to make the screenplay for it, but it was turning into an 8-hour movie because he wanted to put every single thing from the book into it. And then they cut it quite, they just went for the shark part, the monster part, to make it a great monster movie. So that one came out, while it wasn't exact, it was pretty good. They had enough elements that you weren't saying that wasn't in the book. And another one that we've talked about that makes me crazy is John Carter. Well, let's take parts of 3 books, change the characters completely, and then throw the name on it.
I still like the movie a lot.
I didn't hate the movie, but yeah, I was super disappointed. I wanted so much more.
Yeah. I
know that the way I'm talking right now, talking about John Carter and science fiction books, you picture that I live in my grandma's basement. I don't. I'm a contributing member to society, and but I do like monster movies.
Well, you're a productive nerd. It's okay.
Yeah, productive nerd.
There we go. Do you want to go on to more on my list?
Yes.
Okay. So horror movies, really, really great soundtrack. Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween, 2007. Now, did you see that?
Yes, and I am shocked at how much I love Rob Zombie movies. I don't go in there with any expectation, but they're enjoyable. I have not watched one that I didn't like.
I have to confess, those movies are just too scary for me, especially as a person who goes to movies by herself. I am too scared. Those are just too scary. But I discovered this soundtrack. I was reading an article about, I'm always reading about music and musicians, and I was reading an article after Motorhead's lead singer and bassist Lemmy Kilmister died in 2015, I think. And this came up, the soundtrack came up because there are two, because I'm sorry, I was going to say they're, I'm losing my train of thought. Anyway, Motorhead's The Chase is Better Than the Catch is in that movie. And it's I actually went to YouTube and watched that scene with that song because I love Motorhead and I love that song so much. We'll play a little bit of that. I miss Lemmy. He was cool. Here we go. I don't know if everybody likes Motorhead, but
another song that all you have to do is listen to it, and you know the tone and the feel of the movie.
Yeah.
That really hits it, even though it's a Rob Zombie movie and you'd think it would be one of his songs that would do it. That song right there nails what that movie is.
Oh, it was incredible. In fact, Rob Zombie nails the whole movie, and he doesn't do a bunch of his own music in it. He also, we were talking earlier about the Halloween songs. This is the section I was talking about. He has two really excellent overlooked Halloween songs by this band called Captain Klieg and the Night Creatures. I was thinking,
are they friends with Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters?
Shrimp Shack Shooters. Yes, I think
For those
they
of
are.
you that like That Thing You Do, that was the beach band. One of the favorite things I ever heard was when Zahn said that when they were in an interview that was his favorite. That was the band that helped him be an artist.
It was Captain Geach.
Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters. And so tell me the name of this one, Captain what?
It's Captain Klieg and the Night Creatures.
Okay.
They have a couple of really cool Halloween songs that Rob Zombie put in this movie. Let's see. I'm going to play the one called Honky Tonk. Oh, no, Transylvania Terror Train is my favorite. Here we
Love
go.
the sound of that. Train, a whistle, it has it all.
Got a little rockabilly thing going on.
Yeah. The Orange Blossom special happening.
Drive, conductor, drive. White knuckles on the wheel and the smell of black coal. 100 miles of track and the wind at your back. With a sleeper car full of dead souls. Fly, death angels fly. From the dying car
Like it?
to the
Yeah.
bar.
And as I'm listening to these guys, I'm picturing them playing. I'm picturing them playing with body parts. If you've seen Dusk Till Dawn, when they're in that vampire temple, and the band goes from having regular guitars to torso, it's a torso of somebody that they've torn apart, or an arm or a leg. As I'm listening to that song, I'm picturing those guys playing those kind of instruments. So that was a nice visual you gave me with that music.
Yeah, it was fun. And then they have another one on there called, what was it? Let me find it. It's the Honky Tonk Halloween. I put these on my playlist. I'm hoping that my grandkids will jump around to them when they're a little bit older.
Sounds like a nice, safe country music song to start off.
With the trailer park trash, a honky tonk and the Halloween bash. The drinking doubles in a double
Good,
wide.
swinging song.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you that dance, this is a good song. Sticking with the
honky
theme.
tonk of Halloween.
My dance is much like Frankenstein shuffling across the floor. So I do have that going for me.
Anyway, the whole soundtrack, that movie, I couldn't watch the whole movie. I'm just terrified. But that portion where they're playing the Motorhead song it's pretty cool. Anyway, I love Rob Zombie. He puts together a really nice soundtrack. So, this other one I wanted to show has some good music. Old Creedence Clearwater Revival. Another horror movie honorable mention was from the 1983 movie The Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I do.
It had the little vignettes, just like small portions, like short stories. But this one was from an opening prologue with Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks.
Yes.
Those old guys. Such a great scene. And so Aykroyd and Brooks are cruising along in a car like a buddy movie, and they're just singing at the top of their lungs that Creedence Clearwater Revival Midnight Special.
Okay.
The whole scene, it just screams pure joy. It's such a fun thing to watch, and you really feel their camaraderie, and they're singing along and having a blast. It's dark outside. There's a big moon in the sky, and they're driving along this country road, and Aykroyd pulls over and he says to Albert Brooks, "You want to see something really scary?" And of course, you should say no.
That's usually the best answer.
Isn't it weird what happened?
Vaguely.
So Dan Aykroyd turns his head away and then turns back, and he's a monster, like with a face full of nothing but teeth and these glinty, scary eyes. And Then it cuts away to the car, shaking and rattling and ever screaming, because I'm presuming that his best friend Dan Aykroyd is eating him in the car.
That's a safe assessment.
But here's the Midnight Special song. Well,
you wake up in the morning.
in the morning,
You hear the work bell ring. And I march you to the table.
pretty sure the scene opens with the slow play, and then it cuts to them when the beat picks up. It cuts to them singing along, and it's just great.
Upon a table. There's no fork up in the pan.
No poke up in the pan. No poke. Where did
But
it?
you better not complain, boy. You can get in trouble with the man.
Bow, 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 wow.
Let the midnight special shine a light on me.
I swear it's gonna pick up.
Let the midnight
No.
special
It's coming. It's coming.
Midnight Special.
shine a light on me.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Let the midnight special shine a light on me.
There's the cruise.
Let the midnight special shine a ever loving light on me. Yonder come Miss Rose.
You gotta admit that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And watching Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks just singing at the top of their lungs, the song that they both like, cruising down the road. It's a great scene in a movie. And seriously, if somebody pulls over and says you want to see something really scary, just say no.
The answer truly should be no.
It's just no.
We're going to take a break here, but don't you worry, everybody. We're going to be back with more Rachel Knight. And when we come back, we're going to do a Poly-Medela for holiday anxiety, holiday frustration, whatever you want to call it, holiday buildup. So we're going to do a little bit of tension release here. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with more of quantum healing. Be right back.
Certified psychic medium Stephanie Lynn creates an authentic connection between the living and the spirit world. Stephanie knows she is here to help heal, educate, and provide validation that there is more after death, and allows herself to be a conduit and work as a team with spirit to pass on messages from their world to ours. Stephanie Lynn also works as a spiritual life coach to help you achieve, create, and manifest your best self and life. Looking for help communicating with an animal? Searching for a past life regression therapist? Or dealing with a paranormal experience? Stephanie Lynn is here to help. For a list of full services, visit her on Facebook under Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. That's Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive.
Welcome back to Quantum Healing and Beyond. Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. I am struggling right now with my memory. So talking about movies, it's the holiday season. Holidays are a great time. Everybody gets together, family, and you think about things, and it's so special. And there's some monster movies that have Christmas involved, and there's a brand new one. I think it's called Silent Night. Smash It, Violent Night, and it has the sheriff from Stranger Things in it as Santa Claus, and so that could be good. But there's one Christmas movie that just stands out for me. The cartoons I love, of course, the Grinch and the stop animation, Frosty and Rudolph and all that stuff I love. But as far as movies go for the holidays, you just can't beat A Christmas Story as far as I'm concerned. I went and saw that when I was in college. And I don't think I've ever laughed so hard at a movie. It was a great time. And we were laughing so hard that we were almost asked to leave. And so I'm really looking forward to the new version where Ralphie is now 50, and can't wait to see that. And it's going to be a good time. But when we talk about the holidays, as much fun as they are, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of stress. Shopping is a nightmare. It's better now than it used to be. It's much easier to go to a place and shop because so much is being bought online. It's taking some of the crowds out of the stores. So it's a little bit easier that way. But there's still a lot of people out there that are just not happy about being out shopping and want to take it out on people. And I would encourage you to be extra nice to the people that you're working with, the retail people or the restaurant people. Just remember, they're the ones that showed up. If you're in a restaurant or a retail place and it feels like they're understaffed, and they probably all are, the people that are there showed up. The ones that we should be mad at are the ones that are home, the ones that didn't come in. But the ones that showed up are doing everything they can. So let's be extra nice to them when we're in there. And I'm not going to tell you to tip extra for places that take tips, but let's just be extra nice as we're talking to the people that showed up. Those are the people that deserve some credit. And I want to thank all of you that show up every day. Thank you for doing that. So we're going to do a Poly-Medela about the holidays. And I never know where these things are going to go. I don't know what it's going to look like as I start. I will put myself into the quantum room. I will cover myself in energy, go to the quantum room, and I'm just going to describe to you what I see. And so what my intention is to help us relieve some tension of the holidays and to have much more fun. And we'll see what comes to me, and we'll talk a little bit about it after it's done. So I'm going to just breathe for a minute. So there's going to be some quiet, but it won't last long because it's me and I just never shut up. All right, here we go. I'm going to start finding my energy. It's amazing as I do this, I've got my eyes closed and I can still see the room I'm in. But now it's changing as I build my energy. I'm going to put the energy on me. And the room I was in changed to something that looked, in my mind's eye, looked like something from the 50s with one of those old giant TV sets with the short legs on the bottom and the antenna on the top. Seemed like a giant TV, but it was like a 19-inch or less. But it had a huge cabinet. I'm seeing that, and now I'm in my quantum room, and I'm just going to invite the holiday tension to appear to me on however it needs to look. And it looks like, and it's probably from my imprinting, it looks like kind of the outline of the Bumble from one of the Rudolph movies, the abominable snowman that they call Bumble. Kind of looks like that, but it's dark. And I'm going to invite the warrior team in. And as you listen to my different videos and read the book Slipstream Shaman, you'll know that I have a warrior team that starts things off, and that's what they're going to do. Desi the beagle is sniffing around this thing. And she basically just pulled the covering of this thing off like it was wearing a full body and full face everything suit, like those people that put on a green suit and run around and think they're cute in stores or in movies, TV shows. I saw the guy that plays the thing on the new Wednesday TV show about the Addams family. He's all in blue, I believe, and that's kind of what this suit looked like. That she just pulled off of this thing, and now it's just pretty whitish blue energy that's just glowing. And we're gonna address the suit covering that she pulled off in a minute. But looking at this thing, the dogs are sniffing around. and they're not really finding everything else. So what she pulled off might be just the decay part of what holidays are, the sad part of what holidays are. Whatever it means to you, you're probably thinking about, well, that suit would mean this. And your meaning is more important than my meaning. The interpretation shouldn't be me. I was just sharing what I was feeling with that suit. But your interpretation can be anything. So now what we're going to do is give that suit, it's laying on the floor, that holiday energy is just glowing and pulsating and getting bigger and bigger and happier and happier. And you might be able to feel some warmth from it. I'm feeling a little bit of warmth from that thing, from the holiday spirit that's representing itself. But what we're going to do while that is growing and getting stronger, we're going to give some debriding energy to that suit that we pulled off, and give it some energy. And I'm just sending my own personal energy to clean it off so that it's ready to heal. And now the love team that I work with is going to give it energy and see if it transforms. So it's just an empty suit laying on the floor that we debrided and gave it some of my energy, and now we're giving it love energy. And it looks, it's hard to tell exactly what's happening with this. It's changing, and they always do. They change. It looks like it's changing into kind of a forest scene with a river or a stream. Probably not big enough to be called a river, but a stream running through it, and just a lot of good, happy energy. So we're going to do one more thing, and then I'll talk about those. Now I'm going to bring in the 7 generations, which is the final part of the healing that I do. We're going to bring in my 7 generations, your 7 generations, the people, everybody listening, whether listening to it live or later or years from now, if they're listening to it, your 7 generation is going to join this. So 7 generations from our past, 7 generations from our future are going to come in, surround us and this forest and that representation of the holiday, and just give it all the love and connection and protection that it needs. So we're covered in love, we're covered in protection, and we're covered in connection. We are getting that wonderful connection that the holidays are all about. So what I would like to tell you is the warrior team that you just heard, and I just got a note that we cut out for a minute, and I hope you saw the whole thing. If not, we'll do it. We're going to do it each time. But what you just heard me talking about, and what you maybe saw in your mind's eye, was how a healing goes with me. And many times the warrior team will find multiple things to take off people. Most of these things are called companions. And these are things that started out as something positive that over time turned into something that no longer helps us. A way to think about it is, say you're 5 years old and your arm hurts. So you take let's see if I lean the right way. You take a rope and you tie it around you, okay? And tighten that up, and it feels better. It takes the pain away. Well, what happens if you leave that on for a year? What happens to your arm? What happens to it in 5 years? What happens to it in 10 years? What will your arm be like in 20 years if you leave that on? And many of the things that help us at one point become things that hurt us, not through intention or anything else, but they're things that hold us back. And that's a companion. And so what I like to do is, when we remove those from people, we clean them up, give them love, help them become the energy they were always meant to be, go back to their original state where they can go off and help somebody else or help themselves or just enjoy life. And that's what happens to the companions. The next thing is something that started out negative that causes us trouble and that we have to remove, and that's a parasite. And so we take those off, we handle them the same way. We remove them from the host, from the person I'm working with. We debride them with cleansing energy, give them lots of love. Sometimes they just can't handle that love and they just disappear. They look like they puff into smoke or they just disappear. Other times, even though they started off as something with a negative intention, the love that we give them, the healing love that we give them, changes them into something that they can go out and be a good part of the universe. And so their energy changes to something very nice. And so you have the companions, the parasites, and then very rarely we run into something that's otherworldly. We could call it a demon or an alien, or it's just something that has no positive intent. It's feeding off us like a parasite would, but it's very negative. And those are a little harder to work on, and it takes a little more time and a little more energy to get rid of those. But thankfully, they're few and far between. 95+% of what I encounter are companions, things that started off with a positive intent, and then through the years changed to where it was hurting us through no intention of its own, but it ends up hurting us. So that's what we work on, and that's what I do. That's part of the process when I heal people, and that whole process is discussed in Slipstream Shaman, using quantum healing for individuals, communities, the planet, and beyond. And that's truly what we're looking to do, is inspire the planet, inspire the universe, inspire each other to do better, raise the frequency of the world, and make this a better place, a happier place for all of us to be. And so that was the Poly-Medela, means many healings. And so I just feel like this time of year, I work in retail. I'll let you guys know I work in retail. I manage a place, and it's tough. It's a really tough time of year. It takes a lot of energy out of you. There's people that are not happy. And what you tend to do is remember the unhappy ones. You don't remember all the happy ones, and you have plenty of those, but what you remember are the unhappy ones. So let's really make an effort to be nice when we're out in public, and take good care of people, and have fun, and share the good stuff that's out there. So that's a Poly-Medela, many healings. And so that's going out to lots of different people, hundreds, thousands, people that don't even know they're getting it. I did a wonderful one for road rage a little over a month ago. I can tell you that my driving is much better. My thoughts about driving are much better. I'm a much happier person, and I have not screamed evil things, rotten things, mean things that would turn into a parasite from me or somebody else. So I've contributed, and I think other people have as well. It's one of those things that you can make a change and not even know it's happening. And so please enjoy that. We'll do a Poly-Medela each show. It's hard to say what they'll be each time, but I think it's important that we share that. So now we're going to go back to the fun stuff we were having. We're going to talk some more with Rachel Knight and talk about movies and soundtracks and music, and who knows where we'll go with that. It's always a fun ride. A TV show that I really like, a lady talked about that something was like being driven in a car by a drunk kangaroo. You're all over the place, but you eventually get there. And I think that's how a lot of my interviews go. It's like a drunk kangaroo is driving us. So let's enjoy and talk some more about music and movies, and have a great time. Rachel, where would you like to go next? I caught her off guard. She was getting a drink, and that's the evil old. I used to manage restaurants, and I was really good at walking up to people that just shoved a mouthful of food in their mouth, and asking them how dinner was or how things are going. And so they would always give me the look and shake their head, and it's good. So I caught her with that. Rachel, my apologies, but I've got to be me.
I forgive you. We were talking, and I know you and I both love this movie. We were talking about That Thing You Do, and you brought up Captain Geach.
Yes.
And the Shrimp Shack Shooters. That is such a good soundtrack. Amazing. And we were I was pleased to discover that Tom Hanks himself wrote some of those songs.
Yeah, who'd have thought? Well, there's a good question. When you say you write a song, and this is a guy that hasn't studied anything like this, when you say you wrote a song, does that mean you wrote the poetry of the song? Does that mean that you wrote the lyrics and the music, or is it one or the other? Or I know, like with Van Halen, they were talking about Eddie would do the music, the other two singers would do the words. If you're only doing half, is that still considered writing a song? I
would guess that you would just differentiate between the two. I understand that he wrote the words and music, which means you can say he wrote the song. Mm-hmm. So
so the music too. It's hard enough to write the words, but to do the music.
Well, we should verify this, but yeah. I know a lot of people who write lyrics aren't songwriters. they're lyricists, like, of course, most famous couple ever, Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Bernie wrote all those beautiful lyrics for years, and he and Elton John worked together, and Elton John was a composer, and he wrote all the music to go with that. Well, it started out, and I've noticed that some people start with the music and then write words that fit it, like Bernie and Elton did. Elton wrote all this, composed all this gorgeous music. Bernie would listen to it and come up with the perfect lyric for it. Some people write the lyrics ahead of time, and then they or someone else will compose the music that goes, or the other way around. So I was going to look up this Tom Hanks thing.
It's funny you said that about when you do the music and the words. I can't think of what it's called, but I was listening to a podcast about a guy that wrote the music, and he wanted whoever sang it to understand how he thought the song should sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was singing just nonsense words that weren't really part of the lyrics, mm-hmm. just so they knew how it should sound. And do you know the name of what those nonsense words are? And sometimes they even make it into the song.
I call them boopadoops.
Boopadoops, okay.
You've heard me. If I don't know the words to a song, I fill it in with the boopadoop. I don't know what that's called.
Okay.
We'll have another show on that one.
Yeah, there's a term, and I can't remember it. It must have been part of a song, since I didn't pay attention to the lyrics.
Yeah, I can't remember. I was trying to find which songs that Tom Hanks wrote. I know he wrote the Mr. Downtown.
Yes,
remember that?
Yes.
It was and it was the theme song to some goofy show.
Yeah, it was Borderline Lounge Singer.
Yeah.
And the guy singing it kind of had that look.
That Bill Murray.
The Bill Murray Lounge Singer look. It was great.
A lot of dead air here, Ron.
Yeah, I think my favorite song in that soundtrack is I think it's called "There's a Party Going On," or they
Dance with Me Tonight.
Okay, Dance with Me Tonight. I would have never come up with those words. Great bass in that, and just a really cool vibe going on. And that might be one he did too.
Oh, we lost our Here, we'll start that over.
We're gonna hear that song that I like so much in just a second. As usual, when I'm involved, there's technical difficulties.
Speaker isn't working. Hold on.
Yeah, we've got a speaker that's pouting apparently, and that's what happens when you use technology over great distances. And that's why I prefer the quantum. We seem to have better connections with people through the quantum than we do with electronics many times. Even though the electronics is awesome, being able to talk to somebody from the United States, and you're talking to somebody on Easter Island, one of the most remote places on the planet, and it sounds like they're in the same room. What a wonderful time it is to live here. I can remember getting yelled at by my parents for talking to my grandparents for more than 30 seconds because they lived in another state, and it was long distance.
I think we have the tech fixed.
All right,
ready?
Here we go.
Come on, pretty baby.
Love this song. Very nice song. If you've never seen the movie, I encourage this a lot of fun. And I don't know if it's called Director's Cut or Long Cut, but the one that they showed in theaters had things taken out. So if you don't see Howie, forgot his last name. He's a sports announcer on Fox. Howie Long, he's the guy at the crew cut. If you don't see him in the movie, you've watched the wrong version. You need to watch the longer one that he's in. That's all I can tell you about that. And
excuse me.
Rachel Knight might have eaten a spider. Sounds like there's a little bit of throat trouble going on, but she'll be back with us in a second. That Thing You Do is an absolutely wonderful movie. It's not scary at all, and I like to keep my movies that I talk about in science fiction or monsters and things like that. But what a great song! What a great movie! What a great soundtrack! It's fun to watch with kids. It's not uncommon for the kids to just jump up and start dancing around during it, much like they do on the show. Which leads me to another favorite movie called Walk Hard, and they make fun of all the shows where everybody jumps up and starts dancing. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. You're either going to love me or hate me as a result of that. Let me tell you to watch it. So always go see that.
Well, I'm failing. I can't find the. Sorry about my coughing fit.
That's okay.
It's cold and flu season.
It is. So you were looking to see who wrote the songs?
Well, I know Tom Hanks wrote some of the songs, but I couldn't tell which ones he wrote.
Okay. And then I went off on a tangent of if you're called a songwriter by doing the music or the
So I couldn't look anything up because you're just talking.
Because I was yammering on about nonsense.
Oh, this is an interesting little tidbit. I don't know if anybody's heard. Oh, I'm sure they have heard this. A band called Fountains of Wayne. The bassist, whose name is Adam Schlesinger, he was the one who wrote the song "That Thing You Do." In response to a contest being held by the studio, the song won, and so that's how that ended. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and it says here that the 4 actors playing the Wonders rehearsed as a band for 8 weeks to get the feel of performing, but most of their performances in the film were dubbed by other musicians because I don't think any of them can sing.
But they learned how to look like they're playing the instruments correctly.
Yeah,
and,
so
and
they
how
look
to
like
move.
The Oneaters.
The Oneaters, yes.
I'm gonna cough again, Todd.
Coughing is cool.
I'm so sorry to cough on your show.
That's okay. I think it's a prerequisite. Many times I'm just not happy unless there's a dog barking or a cat knocking something off or a lawnmower or coughing. And, you know, everybody's heard me cough. It's part of my alien DNA. There's probably an implant that if I talk too much, fires off my neck to do some coughing.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's always a good time. I like it. And it's amazing the technology that cough is coming through a computer from another place and getting to this computer and getting out to you. That's the magic of technology.
Well, yeah, but you won't get sick.
Yeah, I won't get sick. You can cough all you want. Nothing will happen. Again, because of the distance and my alien DNA refuses to let it happen. And I was thinking about some of the small monsters. I know that the giant monster movies, the Gamers and the Godzillas and all those have some wonderful soundtracks. Is there anything you can think of for the smaller ones? I absolutely love Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's my favorite small monster. There's been some really good remakes of different monsters. The Mummy. I can't really say Frankenstein has been good remakes. And there was going to be a remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon, and then that, what was it called? The Shape of Water. Shape of Water kind of ruined that because it was kind of the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Universal decided to either postpone it or not do it. But that's my absolute favorite of the small monsters is the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I would say the Mummy would be next. And possibly the Invisible Man, Invisible Woman, and all those invisible things were pretty fun too.
Yeah, the soundtracks for those were just mostly, it was barely before they let pop music into movies. It was mostly orchestra music that your grandma liked, type of thing, and so it wasn't. A recent horror movie that I thought was pretty good was the movie Nope. Did you see that?
Yes.
They had some cool music on that.
And for those that haven't seen it, was it Keenan or Peele from the TV show Keenan Peele? One of them was the
director,
producer, director, writer, I think. And really a great movie. They didn't give anything away in the previews, in the commercials. They gave you an idea of things that were going on, but as far as getting to watch the whole movie, they didn't ruin anything by the way they advertised it.
Yeah, so it was actually Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele.
And he's done a whole bunch of things recently. He did that scary movie called Us. And did you see that?
I did not see that.
And they're all, you know, a lot of social commentary and
Mhm.
nod to, you know, important messages about race relations and different things. But he's a very talented guy, and he's such a funny guy. You see him in different. He'll be in a guest star in a sitcom or something. He's pretty funny. But he writes these. That movie Nope was really. I didn't know what I was going to see. I saw it.
Yeah.
I had no idea. They did keep it under wraps pretty.
Mhm.
But they had, since we're talking about soundtracks, I was gonna. They had a couple of cool things on there. Nothing super mainstream. Nothing I've heard on the radio. But you know, I don't go see a movie without at least looking up.
That builds good tension.
Yeah, this is called Call of the Wild by the Viagra Boys.
The Viagra Boys, okay. According to the commercials, most people don't broadcast that. They like it delivered in a discreet package. So I'm proud of those guys for letting everybody know.
Your time is coming soon. So also on that soundtrack, there was this is a classic, and I'm sure everybody's heard of this song before, by Sheb Wooley.
Sheb Wooley.
Well, I saw the thing coming out of the sky.
Do you know what it is yet?
One long horn,
One
big eye.
purple
Like a mister shaking in the city. It looks like a purple people eater to me. It was a one-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater. One-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater. A one-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater. Sure looks strange to me. Well, he came down to earth and he lit in the tree. I said, Mr. Purple People Eater, don't eat me. I heard him say in a voice so gruff,
I wouldn't eat you, cause you're so tough.
it was a one.
I loved those crazy songs when I was a little kid. That and the
Novelty
Bikini
Pop.
and the Novelty
Yeah.
Pop and things from Cheech and Chong. Just absolutely loved it.
What about
And
Ray Stevens?
Ray Stevens, yes, those were wonderful. But the ones I really liked and you could make your own, and you never hear them anymore. They would do a fake news broadcast and then bring in clips of songs to fill it in. There was one about Jaws, and they would bring a song clip to fill in what they were talking about. And for the life of me, I can't remember what those were called. But when I was in grade school, those were pretty popular, and I thought they were wonderful. And so we would record things on our little tape players and try to make those. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. Others are just thinking I probably had a stroke.
Do you smell toast?
Oh, I always smell toast. That's my aftershave. So, Rachel, something I would like to talk to you about today is you do some of the Slipstream Shaman work. You've read the book and you've practiced it. And in the book, we talk about everybody's energy is different. Can you talk to us about, I showed people when I was doing the start how I access my energy through my hands and then cover myself. What is your process? Do you use your hands also? Do you cover yourself with it? What does your energy look like and feel like?
I always start at the very beginning when I meditate is just sitting still somewhere where I'm very comfortable, eyes closed, and I start taking very deep breaths. But I start with both of my hands resting over the center of my chest, over my heart, and lots of deep breaths. And I basically am calling the energy to me in my head over and over again. I'm basically, and it's not even a word, but I'm calling it. I'm saying come. And as it comes to me, I feel very warm all over. And my energy is kind of a goldy yellow, like a nice honey. In fact, that's kind of that's what I was envision. Anything that I send out is viscous and kind of thick and sticky like honey, and it drips, and like honey or any oil or something like that, it fills in cracks and crevices. You know, you don't need to use a knife to spread it. You can just pour it over the top and it fills in all the holes. And that's what I have. So I when I bring that, I find myself opening my hands up, so that I'm like kind of forming a tube. This sounds really kooky, but like
it's kind of like this.
Like this. So my hands open up, and then I'm resting this way for the rest of my meditation. My energy is in my hands in this. I have got a big sticky glob of it in my hands like that. It, like you just formed on screen, the circle. And then as I send forth my energy, I should say my quantum room is a very kind of nobody can see me on screen today, but I have really curly hair, and so my quantum room is this misty, jungly looking pond. I'm sitting on a set of stone steps with my feet in the water, and it's very warm and very humid and cozy. And there's no mirror allowed in my quantum, because I am sure my hair is big as Texas. It's just full of like this foggy mist. I'm always thinking about, oh, my hair.
And frogs. I'll bet there's frogs in it.
There are frogs and tadpoles, and it smells brackish. Okay. Like maybe part saltwater, parts, I don't know, but it smells like a sea pond. But anyway, I digress. My energy though is this gooey, yellowy gold, clear. I mean, you can see through it. Mm-hmm. Energy. And when it needs time to warm up like honey would. And so while I'm warming that up, I'm thinking about just whatever comes to my mind. I set a lot of my intention for the day when I go to my quantum room, what I want to accomplish for the day, but also I send out, not to sound too religious, but I send out blessings. I want to send out protection and love to the people I care about, to the people that I care about, the people that they care about also. And so I have some very specific geographic areas where I call it sending my gold. I send my gold out to very specific geographic areas that cover the people that I love. And so as that warms up, I'm able to shoot it from between my hands out into those areas. And I basically like Google Maps up in the air with my feet in my brackish pond. But I'm seriously an overview of the world, and I'm shooting my gold where I need it to go to cover the people who I love, who need, in my opinion, who need protection and love, and just a connection. I'm connecting them to me, so that they have my spiritual protection for the day. And I do that. I don't do it every day. I do it several times a week, but I don't do it every day just because of my schedule and things. But that is what I do. And when I'm in there, it feels like I'm in there for an hour, and I'll when I come back to myself, I'll have only been in there for 10 or 20 minutes. And then other times it feels like I was only in for a few minutes, but when I come back, I have been gone for a long time. So it doesn't seem to be any correlation to how long I'm gone to how long it feels like I've been gone. But that's how mine feels. And then when I do come back, I feel relaxed. I feel like I've, just taken a nice like snooze, and I feel it really melts away I'm not a super anxious person, but any anxiety I might have had is gone. And I feel better. I feel like I accomplished something for the day.
Very, very, and that's a great description. And I want people to know, as you're listening to this, watching this, and reading the book, everybody's energy is different. when I was learning how to access my energy, the shaman that was teaching us told us it was going to be a certain color. I think she said red, and that it would be hot. And mine was not. It was light blue, and it was cold. uh, Through the years, it's changed from a light blue to something that looks kind of like a sparkler, so it can change. But everybody's is different. My energy moves different than what Rachel was talking about. I do different when I'm doing protection on people. I do the similar thing, but mine's kind of I send it to an area and then I spread it out, like force anything bad away from them. So everybody does different things. There's no right way to do this as you're learning the process. And so please, 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 as you're reading this or watching the videos and wanting to learn more, don't think you have to have the same experience I have, because it's different. A good friend of mine is frustrated because he doesn't see the things that I see. Everybody has a different path. You know, what I see is what I see. And I can tell you that I have the most boring quantum room of anybody. And I think it's just because it came to me. I didn't know it existed. It came to me. And mine is just a misty area. It's like being in a storm cloud, where Rachel's, has a cool pond and it's warm and there's frogs and things like that. So everybody's is different. And so don't be upset if it looks different than somebody else's. Don't be upset if your energy looks or feels different than other people's. It's normal. Everybody's is unique, and just go with it and enjoy. So don't worry about it. If it feels like you're doing it wrong, you're not. And just adjust. Go. Just adjust slightly. And what you'll find is eventually the things you're working on are going to resonate with you, and you'll know you're on it. If something feels wrong, it probably is. So don't try to force it. Don't try to make it something it's not. Just go with it and be happy. Everybody's different. And I love that you spoke of feeling like you had a nice nap when you're done, because that's really what's happening. You're doing some nice breathing. You're getting your whole body oxygenated. You're getting your brain oxygenated. You're in a relaxed state, so everything's healing and getting stronger, and you do feel better. You do feel like you've had a rest, and that's one of the common things that we find. While I'll tell you that everybody's energy and everybody's quantum room looks different, and everybody's process will eventually be different as you do this, there's some similarities, and one of them is that you do feel better afterwards. I can take a 5-minute, what my physical body takes is 5 minutes in a meditation, where it might feel like more like a half hour for me, but that 5-minute meditation for my body completely changes how I feel. I'm much more energized. I'm excited. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to go. And that's a commonality. You will feel better as you do it. It's a great way to meditate and recharge.
Yeah. When you when I meditate with other people too, like in a group, like if I meditate with you, or you and I have meditated with other people at the same time, like from great distances, where we just
Other
meditate
states,
and
yeah.
focus on somebody who needed our help. It's my energy is the same. I still have the gold. It's still my way, but I can feel us link up sometimes. Mm-hmm. Especially with you, because you and I do it the most frequent, but we kind of link up and join forces, and that is a remarkable feeling. And I feel so much more energized after I've done a session with other people too. I think there's power in numbers like that.
Yes.
The first time I ever experienced that, I don't know if you've ever done it, but have you ever gone to acupuncture?
I have not.
So they have in different cities, and I didn't know about this until maybe 10 years ago, places called community acupuncture. And I've only been to a few, but the ones I have had these things in common. They have a couple of expert master practitioners there.
So they're not just throwing darts at you.
No. It's not a carny game. They actually know what they're doing. Okay. But every single one of these that I've gone to, and they're like, granted, they're like hippie cities like Olympia, Washington, Portland, Oregon, like the Madrona area in Seattle, so it's, we're all a little hippy dippy out there, which I like. Thank you very much. But hippy dippy. But the practitioner will interview you and see which areas you want to focus on or what's troubling you or whatever. And, acupuncture is, and I was a little bit of a skeptic about this, but I'm a curious skeptic.
Okay.
And so I was with a friend of mine who, totally into Eastern medicine, Chinese, uses a Chinese doctor, is always like throwing essential oils on me for different things. And, so she and I went together, but I was interviewed by the practitioner. I was going through some very, difficult personal things. And also my foot hurt. I had a really nasty,
and my foot hurt.
I had a really nasty case of plantar fasciitis, which if anybody knows what that is, it hurts so bad.
Your foot hurt. Yes.
My foot hurt. So yeah, I was like, I'm very sad. I'm grieving. I'm in a lot of stress and trauma. Also, my foot hurts. And so so when it's time to go into the community acupuncture room, everyone that I've been in, very similar. You go into this, it's very quiet. You're, basically they tell you to shuddy as you're going in. You need to be quiet. It's a dark room full of, like, every one of them that I was in had tapestries on the wall and incense burning, very hippy dippy, very, very low light, and recliners all around the room in different, just in different, however they could pack them into the room.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all kicked back, and people are like laying back in this dark room with their acupuncture needles all over their body, and it's dark in there, and they're playing this, I call it Dances with Wolves music. I don't know what that, wood flute.
Okay.
Anyway,
Kung Fu used to play that on his TV show.
It's so bad, and it actually makes me giggle, and so I really needed to resist judgment when I was at the acupuncture place. But you get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the practitioner comes in with you into this room and places the needles. Some you don't feel at all. Some hurt. I was like, hey. I mean, you would think that being stabbed by a needle would hurt. Yeah. I was right. Some of them were kind of icky. It kind of hurt a little bit, but then they settle. And she'll tell you if it stays uncomfortable, they actually give you this little button that you can push, and she'll come in and check on you if you need her. But mostly it was fine. But you're in there for an hour. If you need to come out sooner, you push the button, and she'll come get the needles out, and you can leave if you want to. But the point is to get your needles in and lay back and focus and match your breathing with the people in the room.
Yes.
So it's a room full of people, and they're in different phases. While I'm in there, they're bringing in other people. If there's an empty chair, they'll bring them in, put their needles in, and everybody's very quiet, very respectful. But it's this big group nap. Basically, mm-hmm. Everybody's taking these deep breaths in and out together. It's very quiet. The fruity, fluty music is playing. Mm-hmm. The incense is burning. There's candles. It's very chill. And I tell you what, after my first session of doing that, I was hooked. I started going when I was living in Olympia. I started going at least once a week. And the other thing about community acupuncture is it is for everybody. I don't think they use a sliding fee scale, but they do donations, suggested donation of $20. Well, $20 for an hour long, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, no. And I would pay extra because I was capable of paying extra. The woman that I was going with was a unemployed person, so she paid $20. I would pay $40 or whatever. It didn't, whatever mm-hmm. I felt like I had the money to do. And so it just supports this effort, but it's such a wonderful thing for the community. And I left there after my first session feeling like, can we talk about marijuana on the radio?
Sure.
I remember being in high school the first time I ever smoked a doobie. That's what I felt like when I left that place. I was so relaxed. I felt like 15 degrees of stoned. It's like, I don't even know if I should be driving, man. I am feeling so it's an amazing, relaxing experience. And when you're in a room full of people all doing the same thing mm-hmm. and doing that deep breathing and sharing their energy around this room, it's beautiful. I really loved it. And I haven't found a place in my new city. I haven't really looked, but that's on my list of things to get going again, is to go back to community acupuncture. I think it's a wonderful thing. And especially people who are interested in the quantum, I think it would be a great place to go into the quantum.
Wow.
You know, and why not? And share your quantum energy with the people in that room.
Combine modalities.
Yeah.
And, get that synergy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What a cool idea.
Yeah. I love it so much.
Maybe you need to get certified in acupuncture and open your own.
Yes. In my garage.
In your garage. Yeah. Garages are great. One of the things you were talking about is the breathing. And for those of you listening, if you have a meeting coming up and you think there's going to be some contention, you think there's going to be people that are not going to get along, those kind of things, start off your meeting with everybody breathing together. I'm talking like 2 minutes of just breathing. And you just tell them, okay, look, we're going to get together. We're going to breathe together for a few minutes to get this meeting started right. I want you to breathe in and out. Do that for a couple minutes. Get everybody breathing together. You will be shocked at the difference in your meeting. Just that one breath changed my whole perspective. You get the whole group doing that, and now you're working together, right? And so this meeting that was going to be a big fight is now coming from a much better place. So I would encourage anybody that has to lead a meeting or that gets to lead a meeting to do that. Start off with some breathing and get everybody on the same page and working together, and you'll be absolutely shocked and thrilled with the change.
I actually had a boss who would start a meeting by everybody standing up and going into a warrior pose. I don't know if you know. It's basically you're standing straight up, and your arms are out to the sides of you, straight out, like you're flying an airplane, like a little kid flying airplane.
Flying an airplane, okay.
And you lean on one leg or the other. Okay. But that's a warrior pose. I'm not describing it very well.
I think it'd be like with a spear or something.
And then some really deep breathing.
Okay.
And everybody would do that. Pose. Yeah. So you're stretching up your diaphragm. Your arms are out away from your body, like a little kid playing airplane.
Now you can really bring in the air and the oxygen and pump it through you.
Yeah. So she would ask us to breathe in for so many seconds, hold it for so many seconds, exhale for so many seconds.
Okay.
And it was and we would do that for a little bit, and it was amazing what there's a lot of tittering and giggling at the beginning, but eventually everybody got on board, and it really did settle the mood in the meeting. It kind of centered people. Yeah,
and like you said, you will run into some resistance, especially at first, where people think it's I'm not doing any of the woo-woo stuff. But once they do it, that resistance goes away faster than resistance to the Borg for your other cool nerds.
The Borg.
Resistance is futile. Always remember that. But yeah, getting everybody on the same page that way is just a wonderful way to address that meeting, even if it's not going to be a disputed meeting, even if it's just going to be a good meeting. It's good to have everybody on the same page.
I am something else and I've done this. In my job, I've had the occasion to do some public speaking, and everybody gets butterflies a little bit. I don't have stage fright or get like where I feel like I don't want to do it, but I do need to center myself so that I have command of the room. And this I'm going to call her an old lady. She's my age, but this old friend of mine taught me this trick that really, really works. She called it the Supergirl pose, where you stand nice and straight and you put your fisted hands on your hips, and take a deep breath. Yeah. And you do that while you're waiting for people to be seated, and that's how you stand. And you breathe, and you're making eye contact with people as they're coming in, and when everybody sits down, my tagline always is for starting anything is like, all right, here we go. I'm always telling people, here we go. Todd can attest to this. Here we go. And so I've got my hands on my hips and I say, here we go. And then I don't have to stand there my whole speech that way. But That's how I center myself and get ready for a big brave talk. And so I'm Supergirl while people are coming in the room, and I think it works. You center yourself, you breathe, you determine what your attitude is going to be, you set your intention for that meeting, and it's going to go a lot better for you if you go in there willing and ready to tackle it.
Yeah, you've put yourself in a great place. And I've had other people tell me, how would you walk if you were unstoppable? That kind of thing. How would you stand? And that's, what's more unstoppable than Superman or Supergirl or Superwoman or Superdog or whoever. Anything with super on the front, that's unstoppable. So you get that pose, you feel that energy, and it truly translates and sets you up for success. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
And the whole energy, changing your perspective, changing your energy, getting you strong and ready to go, really is a powerful way to take care of meetings. And let's face it, meetings are awful. There's not many things that I think are a bigger waste of time than meetings. I would like to abolish most meetings. If you're in a 2-hour meeting and you get 5 minutes of good information, you didn't need to have that meeting. You could have had an email, as a friend of mine says. So, if you're in charge of doing meetings, don't do meetings just because you've always done it. Do meetings because they make sense and that it should happen. So something to think about as we get ready to go to our final break. We'll be doing that in just a second. As soon as Todd tells me it's time to break. I love having a producer named Todd, so people think I'm talking third person, but I'm actually talking to an actual person. As cool as talking in third person is. Who knows what we're doing, but we're going to take a break in just a minute, but we'll be back. We're going to talk about time when we come back, how time is different when we work in the quantum room, in the quantum field, and how it changes us and what it does. So Todd, if you're listening, I think now is a lovely, lovely time for us to take a break, but don't worry, we'll be back with more Rachel Knight in just a few minutes. Take us away, Todd.
If you're a fan of the paranormal world, then you'll love WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Talk shows bringing you the latest on everything paranormal, cryptozoological, metaphysical, true crime, psychic readings, and more. The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.
All right, we're back. Welcome back. I hope you didn't miss me too much. It's Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. Thank you for joining us. We've had a good time. It's been a nice conversation today. It's funny how fast 2 hours can go by. We're getting close to being done. We're going to talk about time in just a minute, and also the power of working with people. And so what I would like to encourage people is, if you're listening, check in. We've got Teresa here from Facebook, and we usually have a bunch of Facebook people that I would love to say their names, but the way Facebook is set up, we can't see their name unless they go in and change something. Teresa figured it out. There's a way. We always have one or two that have figured it out, but most have not. So go in there and figure it out. I'm the only one that's supposed to be technically challenged here. Everybody else is much smarter than I am with that stuff. So continue to do it. I love what Rachel was talking about with the community acupuncture. And I always thought of it as more of a private thing, but it makes complete sense to do that as a group. And the energy that you get, I was talking with somebody not too long ago about the power of 8. When you get 8 or more people involved in something, how much different it is. And with energy, it really makes a big difference. You start getting with 2 of you, 2 plus 1 + 1 = 3, and then you get 4 of you, and 2 + 2 = 7, and really good things start to happen as you get more people, more energy involved, and the different balancing energy. Rachel's energy is warm and very thick, where mine is very cool and very active, I guess is a good way to describe it. It moves around a lot. There's nothing contains it. It doesn't warm up like hers does. It's just frenetic all the time. But everybody's is different, and that's a lot of fun. And when she was telling us about the experiences that she has, one of the things that you're going to find that is similar with everybody, everyone's different with their energy. Everyone has a different quantum room. Many of these processes will be slightly different for people, but some consistent things that you're going to have. One of them is time, and time makes no sense when you're in the quantum room. In the book, I share experiences of what has happened with me in the quantum room. And when I wrote these things down, many of my sentences would have present, past, and future tense in them. And it made complete sense for the experience I had, and no sense to anybody that knows how to read English. And so my editor would just be pulling her hair out, wondering what happened to me if I lost my ability to write and think. But I can tell you that the words I used were wrong for English, how you would do English, but they were absolutely right for my experience. And Rachel, as you work in the quantum room, I don't remember anything unless I make notes. How is your memory of the work you do in the quantum room? Do you remember what you see and experience? What is that like for you?
I remember everything.
Everything.
Mm-hmm. I remember my dreams too. I have especially if I wear my CPAP and I'm super oxygenated. I remember everything when I'm in the quantum. It's I'm not here, and I'm there, but I'm also, I'm with myself, I guess. I remember everything. It's not sleepy time for me. It's I'm very aware, but I am somewhere else. I'm Google Maps. I'm up in the air and so with my feet in the pond.
I love that.
But I remember everything. Yeah. In fact, I've seen your little chicken scratch notes that you make when you're, and I don't think I could go back and forth. I don't think I could use a pen on paper when I'm out there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think that would, it would snap me back. I need to stay out there.
Yeah. So there's again another difference. I remember virtually nothing. I'll read notes that are a week old, and it's new to me as I'm reading it. If any of you have ever watched something on TV and then you don't see it for several years, and you know that you watched it, but you don't remember it until you're seeing it. You remember it as you're seeing it. That's kind of like what it's like for me to read my notes, because I remember absolutely nothing after it's done. And so I have a very limited window to make notes. And as a result, many times I'll be making notes while I'm in the quantum room. And when you look at my writing, I don't have pretty writing to start with, but when I'm writing from that quantum state, it is a train wreck. And I think what's happening with me is my physical body just really doesn't comprehend what is going on in that quantum area, that area of energy and spirit. And so there's a lot of short circuits and disconnects, and I think that's why I can't remember it. And I also think it's why my writing looks completely different. It's like my hand's broken, how badly I'm writing. Again, it's not pretty to start with, but it's really bad during that.
It's like a scary movie, where the medium comes through and with Tony, the finger.
Yeah.
Daddy can't come to see you, Mrs. Torrance.
Yeah, the kid on Red Rum, The Shining, doing that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of like that.
The little boy that lives in my mouth.
So we're find our way back to horror movies.
Sorry, yeah.
No, that's great. And so it's weird. And so again, everybody has a different experience. I wish I could remember it better. I think there's some wonderful things happening, but Just the way my physiology is, it does not connect. It does not compute. It does not work out.
Yeah,
so I
but
have to make notes.
when you do healings for people, you make your notes and you write very comprehensive, what I guess you would call it like an after visit notes to send to the people so that they know what happened
Yes.
or what you saw in your quantum. I obviously your notes are sufficient, so you're able to make those after visit notes to give to the people who you help in the quantum. It works. I don't. I only talk to a very few people about my visits to the quantum. Nobody ever calls. I'm not a shaman. Nobody ever calls me and asks me to help them with a healing or something. Everything I do is based on just a need that I see.
Yes.
And so,
but you have joined in shamanic groups.
Yes.
Helping supply energy, helping find answers, helping to help people get better.
Yeah.
But you remember. So that's a thing as you're listening. You may remember, you may not. You may remember part, you may not. It's really hard to say.
Well, I might be deluded. I might not be remembering everything either, but I feel like I remember everything. I don't.
You say it with confidence that I would, if I had to bet, that you are remembering the whole thing. And it's unique. I remembered my dreams for years. And I don't mean like I would remember them for months, but I would certainly remember them the day after I had them. Now I don't remember my dreams for minutes after I wake up. So I don't know if something changed with my physiology and I just don't have access to that, or if my brain can no longer process it, or if I did something bad and I was cut off. That's probably my guess.
Maybe you did something good and it's protecting you.
And maybe I did something good and it's protecting me. But my guess is I was probably a smart aleck to something and lost the ability to remember those things as a punishment. And if that's the case, I would like to atone and get my dreams back.
I don't think the world is as punitive as you think.
It might not be. I hope so. I hope so. Hope not. I don't know. See, again, I'm almost in the quantum room where I can't figure out which word to use. So yeah, it's different in the quantum room. But I want to talk about time specifically. How would you describe, if you're describing the time right now for us? Linear time that we live in, minutes, hours, days, years, decades. How would you describe it? Would you describe what we encounter in the physical world as linear? What's your definition of time?
Well, that's hard. I'm a little bit of a cuckoo bird. There's an old poem called "I Contain Multitudes." Was it Whitman? I feel like I think time is very fluid, and I find myself bouncing around all the time, especially happy memories or traumatic memories or something. I can revisit one of those real dynamic pieces of my timeline anytime, and I know a lot of people like that. I think you're like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me on Earth, and I guess just based on the kind of work I do and things, I think it is typically very linear. This happen and everything is cause and effect, because this, then that, if this, then that, and that speaks to me in a linear fashion.
So when you're for the most part, it's running linear for you.
Yeah.
But you're able to jump back to something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very able to revisit things, and
whether you want to or not.
Whether I want to or not.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then that's an aspect of mine as well. So yeah, I would say it's mostly linear. Now, how would you describe time when you're working in the quantum room, when you're meditating? You talked about sometimes your physical body is 5 minutes has lapsed, but in the quantum room a couple hours, or a couple hours physically has lapsed, but it only feels like 5 minutes in the quantum. How would you describe the feeling of time in the quantum?
I feel like time. I feel like time doesn't exist in the quantum.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you? I don't feel like it doesn't exist in the quantum. It's moot.
Okay. That, and that's that's probably accurate. I've always pictured it as jumbled, and I guess that comes from the way I write my notes from that. But it's very possible that it just doesn't exist, at least in any kind of way that we can comprehend. Doesn't exist, doesn't matter, doesn't interact. I don't know what the best way to say that, but it does make a lot of sense when, you know, that felt true, that rang true for me when you said that. Do you even think about time when you're in there?
No. In fact, I don't sit down for a meditation if I'm worried about being late for something, or, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it can't matter to me. How's that?
Okay.
You know, I just, it's not something that I do if I'm like, well, I've got to leave in 10 minutes. And because
let's squeeze one in.
I just don't really, I mean, I can't set an alarm for it. That would be weird.
Yeah.
And so, it just needs to come naturally. And so, like I said, sometimes I'll feel like I've been in there for an hour and I come back and sitting on my couch and it's only been 10 minutes, or vice versa. Sometimes I'm gone for a long time. You just don't know. So,
right. You just don't know. And I think that's one of the things when sometimes I'm trying to work too many of them into a day and I run into trouble. And I think, as you're saying that might be the ones that really tax me energy wise, is I'm trying to force our physical linear time into quantum, which doesn't exist, doesn't care about time.
Yeah, I don't think the quantum cares about time. They don't care.
And
it's the honey badger.
It's the honey badger. Time is the honey badger. Or quantum looks at time the way honey badger looks at everything.
Yeah.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Love the honey badger.
Me too.
And I'm just curious, you know, that makes sense. Sometimes as you're doing this work, you'll hear something, you'll feel something, you'll know something, and it just radiates truth. And the whole time thing, the way you said that it doesn't exist, really made a lot of sense, and it's really something I need to investigate and get a better clarity and understanding on, and figure out where to go next with that, so that you know, we're always looking for ways to improve. That's part of Slipstream, making things better, faster, and so if I can figure out the whole time part, that you know, fits right into better, faster for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a few minutes left. Is there anything that you would like to chat about before we go?
Do you ever have flying dreams?
Not enough. I've had some, and I've had some where I fly briefly. I've had some where I'm flying and then fall. Well, when I say flying, I mean like a helicopter pick me up and drop me. Fall out of an airplane, those kind of things. But the ones where I used to have dreams where I was flying jets and would hit power lines and crash.
Oh.
Had that quite a bit. And then I had a lucid dream where I addressed that, and it never happened again. But I've only had a lucid dream where you can control the dream. You're 100% in charge of your dream.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. It's like almost like being in the quantum room. And by addressing that nightmare, it never came back. So in answer to your question, I have flown sometimes, but would love to fly much more.
Without equipment, you mean?
Yes, like Superman. Yeah.
My flying dreams, I have flying dreams a lot. And it's funny because when you said lucid dreams, you have control. When I first started having flying dreams, I was doing that whoa, you know, kind of wobbly, not quite. But in my dream, I would tell myself, "You're in a dream. You can fly. You can do this.
You can do it.
Just yeah, no problem." Like I actually had a weird dream about ice skating, and I was skating backwards and thought in my dream, "Hey, I can skate backwards." I was really proud of myself. Well,
exactly.
Of course you can. You're in your dream. So my flying dreams, though, I've gotten to be quite the little pilot. I'm a much
Okay.
better flyer now, and I have dreams a lot about this certain planet called I call it the sea planet, because it's everywhere you go, you're on the beach. And my house on the sea planet is a cave and a cliff, and it's really cool. And I can fly by and see my house in the cave and the cliff.
Oh.
And but it's really nice to have like total control,
Yeah.
and fly over the beach, fly over the dunes, zip along over the ocean. I can smell the ocean. It's glorious to me. And but the flying is my favorite thing. And I hope somewhere in one of my multitudes, in one of my dimensions, I'm out there flying around, because I really, really love it.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. And you're in control.
Yeah.
And you can, in that particular one, you can fly right up to your house.
Well, and I know I never have, and that really bothers me too. And I've tried to make it so. And I'm not really sure if there's like some energy problem if I have to enter the house from like a hidey hole in the dunes. I'm not sure how it all works, but I know that's my house. I can see my dogs.
Okay.
And so, but anyway, it's being able to fly and teaching myself to fly better in my dreams has been a great joy for me over these last 5 years or so. I really enjoyed it.
That is incredible. We've been joined by another person that got their name on. I hope I'm saying it right. Hello, Shaylee. Thank you for joining us. And the lucid dream and how close what we do in the quantum room is to that. I'm hoping that as I do this more and more and get better at the quantum part, that my dreaming changes, and that I'm allowed access to the memories, and that I'm having those great dreams like you're talking about, where I can fly, where I can breathe underwater, where I can address things. Most of my dreams tend to be like anxiety dreams where there's too much going on at work. There's something's breaking and I have to fix it fast. Those kind of dreams. And then you wake up for a minute and go right back into it. Most of my dreams are not super enjoyable. And so I would love to have more of the lucid dreams. I haven't had very many of them, but they're so powerful. And you talk about waking up refreshed. When I've had those lucid dreams, I wake up ready to take on the world. I feel great, and I have excess energy for a couple days after having those. So it would really be a wonderful thing to have on a nightly basis and really recharge, explore, do a lot of fun things. And I envy you that you have that flight on the sea planet, and that you're able to improve. That's pretty cool, because you probably started off amazing the way most lucid dreams go, and to improve on that is even better. You're kind of like Jonathan Livingston Seagull, for those of you that have read that.
It's such a good book. I love that book. Have you ever tried just setting intention before you go to sleep to have a lucid dream, to bring it to you?
I think that is a very good way to help. And yes, I have. When I was really focused, I was focused for a couple of years to like force lucid dreamings on me, and I did. But maybe if I do it without the force, without the fight, and I'm making a note about intent for lucid dreams, I will. My sleep patterns are funny. I have about 3 seconds from the time my head hits the pillow until I'm out, and I can sleep for 2 to 4 hours, and then I'll be awake for a couple hours, and sleep eludes me during that time. And then I fall asleep and get right back into a good deep sleep when it's time to get up. So I have to be very careful where I set my intent, because if I try to do it once I lay down, it's not happening. I'm out. I'm done. I don't know what it is, but there's a switch apparently on the back of my head that when it hits the pillow, it's over.
Maybe sit up for a bit and do your intention, and then lay down. What about after you wake up? Do you ever do any like dream journaling? Or
again, when I tried for 2 years to really force a lucid dream on me, I did. I had a journal by my side every night when I would sleep, and I would write everything down. And it wasn't progressing, and I'm not sure why I stopped, but I ended up stopping. But maybe I need to do it again, because I think that type of activity, the journaling, the setting intent, is very powerful for having a lucid dream. And I can't imagine many things in my life that really anything in my life that wouldn't improve if I started having lucid dreams on a consistent basis.
I used to work in a really busy industry where I had a lot of responsibility, and I would fall asleep and then sit straight up in bed and yell a cuss word and realize that there was something that I'd forgotten to do. And usually like something that I should have done in preparation of the next day.
Yes.
And so I started, before I went to bed, I would sit at my little desk. I had this special little notebook, and I would make a list. I would make a list of everything I needed to do the next day. And so when I would go to bed, when I would crawl into bed to go to sleep, I was free from all of that. And so I stopped waking up in the middle of the night shrieking that I'd forgotten to do something or prep something. And so it really helped me. I don't do it anymore. My job is very much clock in, clock out. Whatever's happening when I get there is happening. And when I leave, when
you leave.
When I leave, I no longer care.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's boy, that is freeing after you've had it like high power, or not, I wouldn't say high power. I never had any power, but a lot of responsibility and a lot of moving parts, a lot of things to worry about. And you're always working. You're just always working. You're glued to your phone because somebody might call you or text you or need something. You're constantly checking your email. I don't have that anymore. I do. When I'm off work, I don't care at all what's happening at work. And no offense, coworkers, I love you all. But I trust them to handle it while I'm not there. And when I come back on, then of course I'm present and I'm working. But making that list before I went to sleep at night, especially you know, because you're a manager of many, many people, and you got a lot of stuff going on at your work. I wonder if just making that list before you lay down and set your intent for a good dream, and maybe you'd sleep a little longer, a little better.
I think those are quality ideas that I'm going to definitely investigate and try out. And one of the things I also want to add is most people with responsibility in their jobs have most of the responsibility they have that they need to get their jobs done, but that there's going to be people above them that don't like let all of it go. So you're constantly in this netherland between things, doing what you're hoping is right, because you never know what's going to feed up. So if that rings true to anybody, I think you might want to listen to what Rachel was just talking about. Let's see if we can't get a big group going that's doing the right thing when they're sleeping, setting intent, having good dreams. Let's talk about lucid dreams in the future and how they can possibly help us. So yeah, great ideas, Rachel. I want to thank Teresa, who's been here the whole show, and I'm hoping I'm saying your name right, Shaylee, for joining us. The others don't have their names on here. I appreciate all of you doing that as well. But I want to thank everybody for being here, and it's always fun. It's been a fast day. We covered a lot of stuff. I had a great time with listening to the boy music that they use for different movies. And thank you for sharing that, Rachel, with us. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for being here, and we'll definitely get you on again.
I had a great time. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you. And Todd, I don't know if you're close, but I think we're getting there. And it's probably time for me to go make a note and take a nap. And make a note, set my intentions, take a nap, and have a lucid dream. We'll see you guys next week on Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing, and Beyond. Thank you for joining us. Take us away, Todd.
Truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.